Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Daily Broncos here. Today we're going to be discussing the Carolina Panthers game. The Broncos picked up a 28-14 victory. They're now 5-3 on the season. I think the Broncos are honestly the most underrated team in the league right now. If you think about it, their 3 losses by 6 to Seattle on opening day. They lost, of course, by 7 points against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were having a very good season. And then that Chargers loss was by 1 score as well. Remember, it came down to the onside. Chargers eventually did pick up a win there, but the 3 losses that the Broncos have suffered have all been by 1 score, and they've won again 2 in a row. They're 5-3. It's looking like this team is heading to the playoffs. The question is it going to be the division or is it going to be the wild card? We'll have to wait and see. But this defense to me is the best in football. It held the Panthers to 14 points. If we're being honest, 7 of those came off of an offensive fumble. And then at the end of the game, it was already out of reach. The Panthers ended up getting down and scoring. But this defense was just flying around the football field. Bryce Young threw 2 interceptions, completed just 24 of 37 passes for 224 yards. When you throw the ball 37 times, you're certainly expecting to have more than 224, but Bryce wasn't able to do that. A large reason why the passing attack struggled is because Denver has an amazing secondary. But it's also just the fact that the Panthers could not run the ball. 20 for 69, 3.5 yards per carry. I mean, there's a reason why Denver, again, is 5-3, man. I'm going to keep repeating that because a lot of people didn't even think that they would get to 5 wins, and they've already done it. And we're not even at the trade deadline yet. You have to be thinking to this point, 5 more wins, and you're essentially a lock for the playoffs. And there's going to be, 9 more games left. So I feel confident in saying that the Broncos will win 5 of their next 9 games, maybe even more. I mean, this team legitimately is on pace for double-digit wins, and they're very comfortable where they're at. Especially, again, the 3 losses were all by 1 score. They were very close. A couple of plays had gone their way, right? Remember the game against the Seahawks, where, I mean, they were so close to getting a game-winning play by Riley Moss. They didn't get that. And then the game against the Steelers, it was unfortunately a pick inside of the red zone that Knicks would like to have back. And then the game against the Chargers, that was just one where starting off at the third play of the game was a pick and then giving up points, just not being able to stop the run. But the adjustments you can tell are being made. This game actually means a lot more than most people would think because we saw Denver practicing some of their 4th down plays. We saw them practicing some of their special teams plays, and the Panthers are the perfect team to be able to practice it on because they might be the worst in football. They have just 1 win this season, and that was against the Raiders, who also suck. So I was definitely happy with the fake field goal. Of course, that there was a skill position player throwing a pass for a first down. I mean, Sean Payton, he's just saving these plays and he's dialing them up. And eventually, again, against the Ravens, against the Chiefs, when their back might be against the wall and need somebody to make a play, well, Sean Payton certainly is one of the best of all time to be able to do that. And Bo Nix had an amazing game, man. I got to talk about him. I want to talk about Patrick Surtain as well and some of these players that we're about to get into. But Bo Nix, guys, 28 of 37, 284 yards, 7.7 average, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Was sacked twice. One of them was bad. It actually took points off the board. That was kind of like the one thing to nitpick at. I think Sean Payton did a great job of calling plays, getting guys open. Nix was accurate. Just with his velocity, too. Nix is getting better and better. He was great against the Saints. Didn't really have to do too much because the defense was so dominant. Same thing with this one. But, man, he looked really good. And even though it was against the Panthers still, I mean, this is what you want to see out of your rookie quarterback. Courtland Sutton ended up throwing a pass for 28 yards. He also caught 8 passes for 100 yards, 12.5 average, almost had a touchdown. One of the worst plays of the game for Denver was Sutton trying to extend for a touchdown, and he got the ball punched out. It was a peanut punch. You could see he was tapping on his chest saying, "That's my bad." That's why I wasn't too concerned with it because 1, the Broncos were going to win anyway, and 2, he took accountability. So, yeah, definitely don't expect that to happen again. Hopefully it doesn't. That did take points off the board, right? You never want to take points off the board, whether it's 3 or if it's 6. So that's just inexcusable, but we'll be fine, man. I'm not really too concerned with it. The running game, 32 of 102, wasn't great. It just really, the Broncos, they didn't run the ball that well in this one. Javonte Williams, 17 of 44. He went off against the Saints, and then all of a sudden the next week is non-existent. I mean, he did have, actually, he wasn't in bounds, right? He didn't have a catch. I was going to say there was a play where I thought he got in bounds, but he wasn't. But and then Jaleel McLaughlin actually was good in this one, 8 for 47, 5.9 average. But outside of that, there just was no run game. But the Broncos didn't need it because they did such a good job passing it. Again, Knicks with 284 yards, adds another 4 yards with his legs. Of course, there was a kneel down, which takes him away. But yeah, Knicks did have a rushing touchdown too, where he just laid it out on the line. Good game for Knicks, man. He definitely deserves one of the game balls in this. I also like what I saw out of the tight ends. The Broncos had probably the not probably they absolutely had the worst tight end production coming into this week, and they get Adam Troutman 4 for 85 and a touchdown. We also saw Lucas Kroll, who had 2 catches for 18 yards. You can see these tight ends are just getting involved, man. Michael Burton had a catch for 28 yards. We saw Devon Veely 3 for 28. Good to see the young guy getting involved, and then Lil Jordan Humphrey 4 for 22. Did lose a fumble early on in this game, which set up points. So it's the thing, right? Taking points off the board, but also when you turn the ball over and it leads to points, that's just not how you win football games. So if Denver was going up against, let's see, like a better team, then who knows, right? You fumble the ball twice. I mean, that's just not going to get it done. But again, there's just a lot of things to work on to improve on. But the fact that the Broncos are 5-3, I don't think anybody listening right now is complaining. I mean, you could complain about how they lost the games; it was so close, and this team legitimately could be 8-0. But to be 5-3 and know that you have so much room to grow and you're only going to get better, you have an elite defense, you have a young quarterback who's playing well. You have the weapons who are starting to get more involved. Sutton legit looked like a wide receiver one in this game, and that was always my concern with Denver: is do they have a dog, right? Do they have that guy that can step up and make a play when the game's on the line? That's why I say in every video when I talk Broncos football, Broncos country, Travis Hunter would be perfect for this team. They don't have a Travis Hunter. Maybe they will get him in the draft. That'd be awesome. I think they're going to be too good to do that. But Cortland Sutton, if you can continue to make plays like this, I mean, the Broncos are going to be in very, very good shape. Like, if we're being honest, just nobody was even able to get open against this Denver secondary, which is playing like one of the best in the league. I mean, I'm looking at Patrick Surtain. He should win Defensive Player of the Year. He had a pick. Of course, he had been hurt, missed a couple of games, comes back and immediately makes a play. Riley Moss does not get talked about enough. I don't think I've even heard the Broncos be talked about on ESPN this entire year, which is pretty sad. I mean, they just don't get coverage, which is crazy because they have some of the biggest, best loyal fans in the game. But Riley Moss, I mean, certainly haven't heard his name on TV. I mean, this guy is playing like one of the best cornerback twos in the game right now. He's just an absolute ball hawk, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of him. The secondary, it's just playing amazing, but this team certainly is built through their front. I don't think anybody's going to deny that. Zach Allen is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. John Franklin Myers has had a good year. Nick Benito has been racking up sacks this year. Justin Estrada, a guy who was on special teams, had to step up through an injury. No Drew Sanders, no Alex Singleton. Next may not make plays, right? PJ Locke is out, which is unfortunate too. Of course, it's starting strong safety for this football team. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Denver, which is going to be again against the Baltimore Ravens. And eventually you get to the point where it's not, let's just play close, right? You've got to be able to win these games, right? Like if the Broncos lose by a game-winning field goal to the Ravens in Baltimore, I mean, yeah, that's certainly not a total loss because it's a lot of optimism moving forward. But I think the Broncos are 5-3. Like I said, they're so good to the point where I'm expecting them to go out there and to win that game, right? Or maybe I'm hopeful, right? I don't think anybody's going to be like, you need to win this game, but can they do it? Legitimately, yes. A couple of weeks ago, I would have been like, can they go into Baltimore? Can they go into Kansas City? Legitimately, I think they can. Their defense is so good that they can legit beat anyone in football. And with Bo Nix continuing to get better and better by the week, if the tight ends step up, then this team is going to be extremely dangerous.